Hi everybody, and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. If your spouse comes to tell you that a former business partner needs to talk to them urgently about something, would you be okay with that? Oh, and by the way, they used to also sleep together. This one's from user Throwaway Crockerfucker. My 44 male, wife 41 female, was recently contacted by her ex-boyfriend slash co-writer 36 male, and I've grown a bit nervous. Hello everyone, let me start by saying that my wife and I are very open, maybe way too open about our past and past partners and all that. She is my second wife. My first wife was big on fidelity and we broke up over her cheating. The ex and I share a son. My wife also has a daughter of her own from a previous marriage. We've been married for 5 years and our little blended family works well together. As I mentioned earlier, we are perhaps too open about our past relationships. Her first husband was a serial cheater. He was a musician and slept around with women from his gigs. She stumbled onto his emails only to learn that he was involved with 5 other women, one of which he'd gotten pregnant. Not wanting their child to grow up in a broken home, she wanted to save the relationship and reached out to one of her old internet friends for advice. We'll call him Chris. The two had been friends for 7 years up until that point, but had never met. They were writing partners. In fact, before they lost contact, they had been writing a novel together. She tells me that when she reached out for support, he was very kind and had actually been recommending a lot of ways to get past infidelity, or what you should speak to an attorney about. In general, being a good friend. Somewhere in that, they decided to revisit writing their book again. According to her, they would casually flirt, but as they lived on opposite sides of the country, they had no means to act on it. In all this, she decided her marriage was dead and stopped trying to fix things. Checked out, I guess. She and Chris expressed mutual attraction, and by the end of the year, he flew out to meet her. She filed for divorce right after their affair got physical, and Chris moved later that year to be with her. To make a long story short, her daughter, who was only 5 at the time, didn't really take to him. As she says, he didn't do anything wrong, she just wasn't adjusting properly after the divorce and didn't like somebody replacing her father. My wife told them they needed to take a break due to this and due to the fact that he's a bit crass sometimes. She had only intended for it to be a short break. But he was apparently so hurt that he'd moved that far to be turned away 2 months in, and so he broke it off entirely. After months had gone by, they reconnected to try and finish their book. They began sleeping together again during this time, but it was just a physical thing. They came close to finishing the book, but she started dating me. Thus, they stopped sleeping together. She felt weird about having an ex hanging around once she got in a committed relationship, and so, by her own admission, she stopped returning his emails, which were all book related, and she stopped working on it on her end so much. He grew frustrated after a few months of this and blocked her on everything. Which finally brings us to a month ago. After 4 or 5 years of no contact, he messages her out of the blue. He contracted the bug and nearly died. Chris contacted her because apparently in that time apart, he rewrote the book without her contributions, managed to get published, wrote and published a sequel, and realized his work came really close to not being finished if he had died. He wanted to make it known that if something should happen to him, that he wanted the rights of this thing turned over to her, as she knows how it will end and helped create the story. Fair enough, that actually sounds nice. But then, they get to talking. He's apparently writing a comic adaptation, and he invited her to come on board for it. He has a lot of the art done, and she was very excited showing me and explaining to me who all the characters were, their backstories, what she thinks he got wrong in the design. She also read the first book and is telling me which names he changed, what characters were and weren't in their version, the plot differences, and she seems to be having a lot of fun with it. I knew they wrote together. She's mentioned it before. But I had no idea they had this whole universe created. I can tell it was something that was really important to her. She seems like she might take him up on the offer, and this worries me. Every time they've worked on something in the past, it leads to them sleeping together. And there is a bit of intimate content in their writing. I'm not the jealous type, and I certainly don't want to step on a dream she had buried, but I don't want a repeat of history. I'll admit, I decided to snoop their conversation, and while he seems like he's been on the level and is only really discussing the project, she's pressing for information on his personal life. I wouldn't say in a flirty way, but she asked him if he's seeing anyone now, and when he answered no, he's too busy, that relationships just get in the way, she told him he needs to get back out there, that celibacy isn't a good look on him. We're pretty open about our past intimate life, so I know her ex-husband was terrible at it. And once when drunk, she said of Chris, "Don't let a great F convince you it'll be a great relationship." How the hell do I proceed? I know she was emotionally broken by her ex-husband and that's why she cheated, but she did cheat with this man. I've met him. He seems like an on-the-level guy, but they have a history that tells me something might happen. I want to approach my wife with my concerns, but I don't want to seem like an overbearing, controlling person. I want her to have her creative outlet, because she glows in a way I've never seen before when she talks about this book I barely knew anything about. It feels like it's something that was deeply important to her, that she forced not to be important. I want that for her, but I don't want their interactions to escalate into something more like they have 3 times already. Well, OP, one thing I'm gonna say before we move on to some community comments is that all of your reservations regarding this are very well founded. And this isn't a topic that you should be passive about. But before I carry on, let's read the top community comments to see what kind of advice they gave OP. JP Hamlor says, "As usual, print out this post and hand it to your wife. Especially since you say you two are so open with each other. You will never be more eloquent than what you just wrote. Good luck." Let me help you out says, "I would say a very acceptable boundary to draw is, I'm not okay with you making a book with the guy who you left your last husband for." OP responds, "Context though. Her ex-husband cheated and the relationship was a walking corpse for the last 6 months of it. Chris showing up in the last month. Because of my ex-wife, I really don't like cheaters in general, but it's fairly easy to rationalize why she did it. Doesn't bring much comfort though when it's literally the same guy." Isle Championship 5 says, "You tell her that you're not okay with her having contact with her former affair partner and that it will be the end of the family if she proceeds. You should not have to sit there and watch and worry and wonder what is going on between them. It is totally antithetical to any reasonable concept of marriage." OP responds, "I think that's a little unfair to be honest. I think with clear boundaries and the fact we don't live anywhere near him, it's safe to say nothing will happen. When he messaged her, she came straight to me and let me read his initial message, and there wasn't any trace of him trying to be seedy. The contents were him apologizing for ghosting her 4 to 5 years ago, mentioning that he finished 2 books in their trilogy, that he nearly died to the bug, and it made him realize he wanted the story to go to her in the event he died because rightfully 50% should be hers anyways. His message included a whole bunch of anime commissioned art of their characters and was asking if she'd be interested in helping him write the adaptation into a graphic novel. She won't work with him without my say-so, and if it's just that and they are a country apart, I'm not really too worried anymore that stuff will happen." Well, OP, it sounds like you totally trust your wife. However, you still have these reservations. I would just be open and honest with her. Sit her down and tell her how you're feeling. Give her a chance to put your mind at ease. And if you're still unsettled after you have a conversation, then ask her what she would do if she was in your position. If you were contacted by an ex-business partner / ex-lover, would she be comfortable with you working together with her? She has been cheated on in the past, so she knows how hurtful it is and how much damage it could cause a person. It is most definitely not an easy position to be in because you also know how much she loves this project she's working on. What do you guys think OP should do? Do you think it's cool if he just says, no, you know what, I don't want you to work with him, or I won't allow it? That may be taking it too far, right? Or would you just openly trust her and be like, yeah, fine, go ahead and do it? Well, in the meantime you think about that, let's move on to the update to see what happened next. My wife's ex-boyfriend re-emerged in her life asking to work on a mutual writing project that she abandoned years ago that he's achieving financial success with now. However, apparently I don't know who this woman is. The level of deception is so involved and deliberate that I'm hardly capable of comprehending that I've spent the last 6 years of my life with this person. Let me bring you up to speed. I decided to sit down with her and talk about how I felt about the situation. That I was happy she rediscovered her old writing and expressed that it would be cool for her to explore that as a hobby or a profession, as she's quite good at it and clearly enjoys it. At the time, she agreed and said that Chris, her ex, being around wouldn't be a good thing, saying she was worried that he might be using this as a ploy to talk to her again. When she said these things, I was like, okay, cool. She has the same misgivings I do, and she's not minimizing my feelings or calling me controlling. In fact, we're on the same page. Oh, how wrong I was. That conversation should have been the end of it, but for some reason my brain started getting weird and I began thinking it was going too well. Yesterday morning when she got in the shower, I took her phone and went into it. His number was there and their entire conversation had been deleted. It hadn't been 3 days prior. Red flags. Checked Facebook Messenger. She's talking about her upcoming trip for work, which takes her to Vegas. Well, apparently, this 2-day long thing has been cancelled due to the bug, but she's been telling me she's going. They are discussing a hotel a ton over from where we live and staying there, as well as sending each other people's vacation photos of Vegas so she'll have stuff to show if I ask. She's talking about restaurants they can go to, how there will be a full moon when he's here, and it would look great on the beach. Oh yeah, and he's not on the East Coast as he presented. He moved back to town recently since the prick actually has enough money to live here. He showed her on Google Maps where he's living, and it's taken everything I have not to drive my truck straight into his living room. A month ago, she claimed that she had to pick up her brother from the airport. Nope, that was him. The messages don't go back much further than that, but they reference talking about stuff during the years they supposedly haven't had contact. One line I read that he wrote has my heart racing with such effing madness is from him. Yeah, we're just friends. I don't see you in 8 years and I'm inside you 20 minutes off the plane. Best friends, maybe. So she's not just planning to F him, she's been doing it for months. That trip to her mother's a few weeks back where she stayed the night? Yeah. I haven't confronted her yet, but her smile fills me with so much hate now. I'm going to try my best and hold back on saying anything until after Christmas. The kids don't need the holiday being a constant reminder of this. But honestly, I'm probably gonna snap and confront her today or tomorrow because my ability to swallow this BS with a smile is almost impossible. Honestly, I'll be lucky if I can avoid taking a bath with the toaster. I'm losing my mind right now. Okay, now she sucks. I think the only thing I'm gonna say about her is that she knows how sucky it is to get cheated on. She got cheated on, OP got cheated on, and now she does it to him. Therefore, she sucks. But it's not just me that thinks that. Let's take a look at the community comments to see what they're recommending OP should do. The last Basilope says, don't do anything drastic, like bathing with a toaster. Your kids need you. What you should do is get things set up by contacting the best reviewed divorce attorney you can afford today. Explaining your situation, ask them what steps to take, and go ahead and file. All the while smiling at her as you pretend everything is fine, like she has been doing to you. Then, as soon as your kids go to bed Christmas night after a great day, hand her the papers. Tell her you know she's been effing him and that you will be telling both your families and all friends. That you hope it was worth it. because she just blew up her entire life and there is no fixing it. Then go stay in the guest room. White Terrier says, when you posted about this earlier, I wrote a caveat and I still think it holds true. Not only seek out a divorce lawyer, but seek out a literary lawyer to ask about intellectual property and it being a part of community assets. You really want to watch them explode? Hit them that you are going to sue for half of the portion of the writing project she contributed. If he used any of her ideas getting the book published while you have been married, she owns a portion and ergo, you can sue for your half. If you want to watch their love nest catch fire, nothing causes more arguments among creative types than who created what. Can you say Lennon-McCartney, McCartney-Lennon? Hire a PI and get money shots, pictures, videos, conversations, any of their texts, emails, etc. If you can have her served while she and he are in the middle of in flagrante delicto, even better. Time to not play nice. Make copies of everything she has and any collaborative effort, and anything solo she has written and created. It can end up being the gift that keeps on giving. Shinjuku Dreaming says, to be clear, OP, this marriage is not worth saving. Even if she snaps out of her affair fog, this amount of premeditated deception is too much. She is willing to risk your life in order for her to give this other man some time in bed. She is too low quality to ever consider relationship material, let alone your wife. Please listen to the advice here on lawyering up as soon as possible. OP responds, I had no chance with her. The sort of romantic crap they're saying back and forth is nothing that I've ever heard from her before. It's like he put her in a closet 8 years ago and just took her out, dusted her off, and with no effort had her back. I've never heard this crap from her. OP's edit, I'm gathering information, pictures and screenshots of her location and speaking with a lawyer tomorrow. Well OP, there's nothing to analyze here about why she did what or what not. She did it, it's done. So I agree with all of the commenters. Lawyer up like you're going to do and get her served. Also, I do like the idea of a literary lawyer. I know nothing about that, but it sounds like something you should pursue. What do you guys think? Do you think OP should go nuclear with both of them? Or just divorce her and get away from all this mess? And that's all the information we have up to this point. So as soon as OP gives us any kind of update, I will be updating you guys too. And so we've reached the end of the video. I truly hope you guys liked it. If you did, go ahead and click like. Of course, don't forget to subscribe and click that bell icon so you get notified every time I upload a new video. Also, here are more videos from my channel that you might enjoy. And having said all that, I will see you guys on the next video.